Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. So we are right on time to start. I'm Hind Isawi Benani. I will be your moderator. I'm representing the International Organization for Migration, and I'm based in Dakar, covering West and Central Africa. So I have the great pleasure to moderate this session on building capacities to mainstream human mobility in national adaptation plans, the NAPs as we all know them. I have the honor to give the floor and ask, so the welcome remark will be delivered by Mrs. Jordanka Rodica Jordanov, the Minister of Environment, Republic of Moldova. The stage is yours.
So, I am very glad to be here, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to welcome you to this site event on building capacity to mainstream human mobility in National Adaptation Plan, which is co-organized by the Government of Republic of Moldova, the Government of the Republic of Tajikistan, the Government of the Republic of Uganda, the United Nations Office of the High Representative for the least development countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, International Organization for Migration, and the University of Vienna. I would like to thank all the participants for joining us today, and I also would like to wish a very fruitful and constructive discussions. We need to recognize that Moldova is a landlocked country, so according with the World Bank report, Moldova is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change in Europe. Moldova is exposed to various natural hazards such as drought, floods, severe weather, earthquakes, and landslides. These hazards have a severe impact on our lives and livelihoods of people in the country. So also we have a lot of economical impacts. At the same time, migration is a defining characteristic of Moldova's society, and estimated half of the labor force of the Republic of Moldova is working abroad. Remittances contributed to 16% of GDP, and 25% of Moldova householders receive remittances from abroad. The Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Moldova mainstreamed migration consideration in our second National Adaptation Plan, which was recently approved. I believe that Moldovan's expertise will be very useful for you, and I really wish that we will have the possibility to share our experience, and my colleagues, which was directly involved in the process of mainstreamed, will be ready to answer to all your questions. We recognize that the cross-sectoral network of migration, environment, and climate change nexus. We consider the needs of migration internally, displaced people and refugees in adaptation planning, implementation, and monitoring. The mainstreaming in Moldova involves several consultations with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, Diaspora Relations Bureau, National Bureau of Statistics, Organization of the Development of Entrepreneurship, International Organization of Migration, and UNDP. We recognize that mainstreaming will be successful if government entity has the required capacity. So several capacity development events have been already organized for representatives from different sectorial involved in the process of mainstreaming. We acknowledge that adaptation planning needs to be informed by evidence, and we will need also to work very hard on ensuring the implementation of the plan and the actions which are provided by such plan. Also, a case study is being conducted in Moldova to better understanding the circumstances in which migration contributed to climate change adaptation process. We want to document the mainstreaming of human mobility into the second National Adaptation Plan of Moldova, the supplement of human mobility for the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, technical guidelines of National Adaptation Plan process, incorporates the experience of Moldova stakeholders. The supplement provides concise, operational, and user-friendly hands-on information and tools, and we hope that this will be useful for the parties and non-party stakeholders. I would like to thank our government counterparts from Tajikistan and from Turkmenistan, with whom we had the opportunity to share the experience and also to have the nice collaboration in mainstreaming. Peer learning among parties, it is essential part of the mainstreaming process, and we are proud that we are part of this process. Many other parties from different regions have undertaken mainstreaming of human mobility into the National Adaptation Plan already, so I look forward to learn from your experience how such exercise was implemented, what kind of lesson learned we can have, and what kind of information we can gain from you. I would like to thank the Paris Committee on Capacity Building for providing us with the opportunity to organize this site event, and also I'm very pleased to have the possibility also to cooperate in the future with the new projects and with new initiatives. On this occasion, let me reaffirm my government's commitment to considering migrants, internally displaced persons and refugees while developing and effectively implementing climate-related policies. I would like to encourage you to actively participate in this event, to have the possibility to discuss, debate, and also to collect the data. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's really an honor to have you with us today. So I would like to ask the colleagues to launch the video of Mrs. Rabab Fatima, the High Representative for the least developed countries, developing countries and small island developing states.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, I'm very pleased to once again partner with the International Organization for Migration, the governments of Tajikistan, Moldova, and Uganda, and the University of Vienna on this very important event. The least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states are on the front line of climate change. They suffer heavy and disproportionate loss of life and livelihoods from extreme weather events and other natural hazards. Population displacement from climate change in all its forms is more likely to affect them. To provide an example, according to 2023 data from the Sendai Framework Monitor, mortalities between 2012 and 2021 have been 1.24 in reporting LDCs, 1.85 in the LLDCs, and 2.80 in the SIDS, all significantly higher than the global average of 0.84 per 100,000. In relation to economic losses, LDCs, LLDCs, and SIDS accounted for 11.3% of reported economic losses, despite forming only 2.2% of total GDP of reporting countries. Distinguished colleagues, national adaptation plans, NAPs, play a central role in identifying adaptation needs, as well as developing and implementing strategies and programs to address those needs. However, progress in the preparation of NAPs has been far too slow. To date, only 22 of the 46 least developed countries, 10 of the 32 landlocked developing countries, and 11 of the 39 small island developing states have formally submitted their national adaptation plans, although activities related to the different stages in NAP preparation are underway in many more. Increased and expedited financial and technical support is needed to ensure that the most vulnerable countries have NAPs in place as soon as possible, as well as project pipelines to implement their adaptation priorities. The urgency, distinguished colleagues, is clear. This year was another record-breaking one for temperatures, heat, rainfall, and wildfires. As the impacts of climate change continue to worsen, the need increases for human mobility to be part of adaptation strategies, especially in the world's most vulnerable countries. Planned displacement and evacuation have a role to play in overall adaptation strategies and can help mitigate loss of lives and livelihoods. However, policies must be designed with careful consideration for the destination and origin communities and must be developed in consultation with all relevant stakeholders. The rights and needs of displaced people must also be at the front and center, as well as an understanding of the benefits they bring to their host communities and countries. There is an important role for policy guidance on how to reflect human mobility in national adaptation plans. The experience of countries that are already doing so will be invaluable. I believe that today's event will take us one step closer to achieving our goals. And let me conclude by once again thanking the organizing partners of this event, and I wish you all very fruitful discussions. I thank you.
Round of applause. Thank you very much. I would like now to call Mr. Jerome Ilagan, the co-chair of the Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage, for the last opening remarks, under our applause.
Thank you so much, Excellencies. My name is Jerome, co-chair of the Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage, and we are very much honored to be present in this event, simply because if we do not do this, then we would, exacerbate loss and damage in the soonest possible time. So we are pleased and duty-bound to be here. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, we repeatedly hear and repeat ourselves that climate change is the most crucial challenge of our time. Loss and damage is a stark reminder of this urgency. Displacement represents one of the most relevant facets of human mobility in the context of loss and damage under the Warsaw International Mechanism for Loss and Damage. COP21 established a task force on displacement and entrusted the executive committee for its operationalization. Since then, the task force has advised the committee to work on enhanced cooperation and facilitation in relation to human mobility, including migration, displacement, and planned relocation. The latest IPCC report has further confirmed that we have already knew the growing gravity, scope, and frequency of loss and damage in all regions of the world is resulting in devastating economic and non-economic losses, including forced displacement and impacts on societal cohesion, and underlines the crucial importance of an adequate and effective response to loss and damage. The Warsaw International Mechanism is the main catalyzer under the UNFCCC process for enhancing knowledge, action, and support for loss and damage. The Warsaw International Mechanism's key function also includes strengthening synergies and coherence of such efforts across a broad range of communities of practice and stakeholders. The function calls for EXCOM to provide leadership and coordination, as well as, where appropriate, oversight to promote cooperation and collaboration across relevant work and activities at all levels. Since its establishment at COP19, the WIM has contributed to three main paradigm shifts under the UNFCCC process. First, it catalyzed cross-disciplinary activities in many ways that did not exist before, integrating many different disciplines under the same umbrella in dealing with challenges such as slow onset events, non-economic losses, and displacement, but also in the context of comprehensive risk management and action and support, enabling a new discourse that got us to advance our knowledge on loss and damage. It has enabled multiple stakeholders to take part in this new discourse, catalyzing the creation of an institutional setup that would not have been thought of otherwise. And lastly, it has provided and will continue to provide policy-relevant inputs that will be more and more important now in the new institutional context, but also as we deal with the realities of more severe climate impacts, noting also opportunities for great technological advancement. The Task Force on Displacement currently implements its share of work under the 5-year rolling work plan that contains activities that support the dissemination, uptake, and implementation of the recommendations, which have been a driving force in translating these paradigms in the human mobility domain. Looking at the specific objectives of the process to formulate and implement national stakeholder plans under the national adaptation plans, these are twofold. Number one, to reduce vulnerability to the impacts of climate change by building adaptation capacity and resilience. And second, to facilitate the integration of climate change adaptation in a coherent manner into relevant new and existing policies, programs, and activities, in particular development planning process and strategies. And that should be within all relevant sectors and at different levels as appropriate. The Executive Committee contributes to these objectives through an activity focused on developing tools for integrating information on averting, minimizing, and addressing loss and damage, and mainstreaming them in national planning and policy-making processes. That's Activity 17 of the 5-year rolling work plan. In the specific context of human mobility, the Task Force on Displacement is developing a technical guide on integrating linkages between human mobility and climate change into relevant national climate change planning processes, such as nationally determined contributions, and the process to formulate and implement NAPs in collaboration with the least developed countries expert group of the UNFCCC. The progress made by the experts leading this work, including the IOM, was presented at our last meeting in late September with the members of the Executive Committee providing comments and guidance for the further development of the technical guide. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the experts contributing to this important work. I hope the sharing of country experiences of mainstreaming human mobility into the NAPs at this workshop will provide a task force on displacement with useful insights that will inform the further development of the technical guide to be user-friendly, accessible, and most importantly, responsive to country needs. Before I close, I'd like to share in my national capacity that as WIM-EXCOM co-chair, that the Philippines recently drafted NAP. It has a particular chapter on human mobility because more or less 60% of our most at-risk communities are in the coastal areas, and therefore it's imperative to underscore the value of planned relocation to, more or less transformed economy and society where human settlements are not just referred to as structures, but conglomeration of various homes where our cultures meet and we celebrate the joy of advancing our people's lives in the era of climate change. With this, I thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to Philippines for having included human mobility. I'm based in Dakar, Senegal, and definitely coastal erosion and sea level rise is also a huge challenge. So it's great that we are here to learn from each other. And speaking of learning, I would like to introduce you to Howard Sterling, who is representing the University of Vienna, and he will make a short presentation about the supplement. I mean, you will know everything about the supplement after having here. So it works like back and next.
Okay.
I stay
Huh?
right here.
Okay. I just tried. Oh, that's the... Yes. Thank you very much. Thanks, and thanks everyone, thanks the organizers, and especially, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me the opportunity to introduce you to what has been mentioned a number of times already, the supplement to the technical guidelines of the UNFCCC for formulating national adaptation plans. So what I'm going to show you today is a brief introduction to the key steps. But before that, I want to recap a bit the question, why is that necessary? Why do we need to include human mobility in national adaptation planning? And there are three very important reasons for that. First, adaptation helps to avert, minimize, and address displacement. Second, certain types of human mobility can and do contribute to adaptation under certain circumstances. And third, last but not least, here, refugees, internally displaced people, and migrants in transit are very often among the most vulnerable to climate risks. And I think this is reiterating what the High Representative already mentioned. So what is this supplement about? Most importantly, it is a hands-on, what the Minister already mentioned, step-by-step guide to mainstream human mobility in the national adaptation planning process and document. And the second most important thing I want to focus here upon is that it is based actually on the mainstreaming process of human mobility into NAPs of a number of countries: Ecuador, the Republic of Moldova, Tajikistan, the Philippines, the Republic of Marshall Islands, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. So coming from very practical application. So how does that supplement look like? The first three chapters are introductory and giving background information on human mobility types and aspects that are relevant here, and on the national adaptation plan process. The fourth chapter, it's the beating heart of the whole thing. That contains lots of tools and checklists and guidelines and materials on mainstreaming human mobility in the different parts of the NAP process. And it's structured according to the UNFCCC elements of the NAP and the GCF's readiness proposals structure for the NAPs. Also very practical, hands-on how this process normally looks like. Well, I want to give you a brief introduction in the four parts of this heart chapter, the four this heart has 4 chambers. Well, the first is about setting up the institutional basis, or laying the groundwork, as the UNFCCC says. This includes stakeholder lists and templates for initial and bilateral briefings for establishing institutions. And there are checklists for stock taking of human mobility and adaptation context in different country settings, for situational analysis and materials for policy mapping. And there are also materials for capacity building endeavors and capacity building workshops for stakeholders on this central and very important level. In the second and largest part, on evidence-based creation and the formulation of the actual NAPs, or preparatory elements as the UNFCCC frames this step, there are lots of checklists for bringing human mobility into risk, vulnerability and adaptation mapping processes, and recommendations and example for case studies, among them, for example, the case study that we conducted with the government of Moldova. There's a tool for operationalizing human mobility into adaptation planning, and there are checklists and action points for bringing human mobility also into the NAP document, the final plan, plus different examples how this is being done in different country contexts. And last but not least, here there are also steps and checklists for mainstreaming human mobility into the sectoral adaptation plans. And then for the implementation strategy of NAPs, we have lots of materials for capacity building, tools for local stakeholder inclusion, drafting the local adaptation plans and capacity building and trainings on local level, and materials for supporting regional level cooperation and creating synergies. And as the last part of these 4 chapters, there are also a number of materials for including human mobility in the monitoring and evaluation of the indicator development and into climate budget tagging. And there is a guidance for also the inclusion of stakeholders on all levels in NAP updating and dissemination, including materials and ideas and guidelines for curriculum development, for example. So to wrap this up, this supplement is a very practical and hands-on collection of lots of tools, materials, checklists that are usable and user-friendly. Maybe most important, it considers a broad range of human mobility types, which you can see on the right side here. I won't go through, I don't have the time, unfortunately, to go through them. That would be super interesting. It considers also all stages of the NAP process. So all relevant aspects and stages of the whole process are taken into account, and includes stakeholders on all levels, emphasizing local level stakeholders and the diversity of needs of different stakeholder groups. And finally, it focuses very much on a human rights-based approach and the needs and perspectives of those who are most vulnerable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Harald. Oh, be careful. So we have a full room, and it's a really impressive scene from here. Thanks again for all being here. So now it's time to exchange. We will have around 30 minutes to exchange. If you want to know further about the supplement, please do not hesitate to come to us, and especially to our colleague, my colleague Sumi Adip. We will be happy to give you more information. So, it's time to exchange our experiences. So we have about 30 minutes again, and of course, I mean, it's very short, 30 minutes. I mean, and with this full room, it's very short. So we asked some participants to prepare interventions, to volunteer for interventions. So each will have 5 minutes. If it can be shorter, it's even better. Like to share their experiences in a elevator style remark, like so, being very straight to the point. So we will give, of course, priority to the parties, and then any non-party participants will have 2 minutes. I shortened the time that my colleague gave me. 2 minutes each. I think there is a Slido after. Maybe we can show the Slido. Okay, so any person who wants to share his or her experience, please do not hesitate also to use this QR code. And is it like a form, a survey, right? Okay, so let's go for it. I have a list of participants. If you allow me just to... Sorry for that. My phone is playing with me. Okay, so we have 3 speakers who already prepared an intervention. We'll have Mr. Saidov Sator, Mr. Bob Natifou, so Mr. Saidov Sator, sorry, I'm just introducing you, from the government of Republic of Tajikistan. You will introduce yourself very quickly, okay? We have Mr. Bob Natifou, who is Mr. Bob Natifou here? Okay, and Mr. Broderick Menke, only men. Who is NAP coordinator for the Marshall Islands, for the Republic of the Marshall Islands. So, Mr. Sator, the floor is yours. You can just stand up and also maybe look at the audience. Thank you for the mic, by the way.
Maybe from this side?
Yeah,
okay.
And you can come here if you want, as you
it's
prefer.
Okay.
Let's be informal or formal as we want.
Okay, thank you. We have only 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. If it's possible to make it shorter, it would be
It's too
great.
short. Even the 5 minutes is too short.
I don't have the nice role
I will
here.
try to be very quickly. I'm Saidov Sator, the head of the Climate Change Center of the Agency for Hydrometeorology in the Republic of Tajikistan. We've made maybe I can say the amazing things that will help to the NAP projects in the Republic of Tajikistan. I cannot see the Moira, the Tajik staff from Tajikistan. She helped us to organize all our things together. So what I want to say, due to the National Strategy for Adaptation to Climate Change in the Republic of Tajikistan, there is 4 priority sectors and 7 cross sectors where the migration is one part of them. In the Republic of Tajikistan, the migration is very important. This is mountainous country, 93% is mountainous, and we have different kind of migrations. For example, people are going to the other countries to earn money and return back. There is a lot of disasters in the Republic of Tajikistan. Maybe we don't have only tsunamis and volcans. Other disasters can be happen in the Republic of Tajikistan. So for us, migration is very important. And what we did, we decided to make a team or technical team for doing the projects in the Republic of Tajikistan. So we tried to do the contract, because if you not do some kind of financial support to the expert, it's very difficult to collect the information. So we decided to do the contract for the stakeholders in the Republic of Tajikistan. After that, we get a good conclusion, and we prepared projects where the migration is one part of them. So now is time to include all of this information to the NAP project. As we know, the COVID period, it was very difficult, and the NAP project a little bit going further, and now it's continuing. Also, we can see here dear Maria Mamaeva. She is international expert in the NAP project. She made the education models for the experts. In the Republic of Tajikistan, it's very difficult to find an experts in the field of climate. If we take the Agency for Hydrometeorology, Community of Environmental Protection, this organization are given the reports to the UNFCCC, but other organizations are not so involved in the field of climate, and in the features of climate change. So that's why the education models are also important, and we try to do the seminars where we try to give the information to the people and to the experts how to do properly, to do the reports to the union. We also, by the NAP project and with EOM, we made the monitoring and evaluation system for the stakeholders in the Republic of Tajikistan, so they now know how to do the correct reports, so we can do our how we can say that so we can do our reports properly to the UNFCCC. What I can say else, the NAP project is going on, and this EOM project that can be included, its result to the NAP projects, it will be very good. The next stage of our work is to do the national platform on climate change in the Republic of Tajikistan. We don't have this kind of platform. We want to do it in ministerial level. We want to do the secretariat, and in this case, I think EOM with the NAP project, which is leading by the UNDP, together we can do the secretariat and the technical group. So we need to do the national platform for climate change. This is our future work, and now what we finished, we made in all sectorial levels. For 3 years, we designed the projects where the migration is part of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I haven't calculated the time, so so can we call Mr. Broderick Menke from the government of the Republic of the Marshall Islands? Okay, so I mean, I was going to say perfect, but who wants to share his or her experience as a country, as a party? Please don't be shy. Okay, here we go. We have a gentleman. I'm just saying, I mean, we only heard gentlemen so far. Yeah, of course. Is it? Ah, it was. Thank you. Do you want to come? Yeah, I think if we want to, I mean, to save time, you can just from the...
Thank you very much.
Can you introduce yourself, please? Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon once again. My name is Najib Ahmed. I came from Somalia. I work for the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. I'm also part of Somalia NDC team. It was actually fascinating to hear country experiences, I mean, from Tajikistan and etc. And it was, I was noting that we are all facing the same challenge, I mean, from different parts of the world. From Somalia's perspective, you always hear that my country is suffering from the protracted crisis, and mainly the climate crisis. As we speak now, almost 2 million people are affected by El Nino, and it was just a month or 2 months ago that 7 million people were also affected by drought and dry periods, which extended 5 years of failed reason. So that shows that we are, if someone is denying climate change, I invite him to come to Somalia and experience firsthand. My country is also committed to mainstream human mobility, climate mobility into our national adaptation plan, and not just the NAPs, but also if you look at our NDC, we have also successfully have a fully fledged, a dedicated chapter towards human mobility, displacement, and migration. Not only that, my country is also committed to be part of the regional and global declarations on human mobility and migration. And that shows that we are interested in that because as we speak now, about 3 million people are internally displaced people as a result of drought, as a result of El Ninos, and as a result of other climatic shocks. Somalia is also considered to be among the most urbanized nations in the world. And in few years' time, I think by 2026, more than 50% of the population will be in urban centers. So that is the rural-urban migration. It is part of the human mobility from the original centers into other locations. But when we talk about the capacity aspect, and I think we are all tired of this capacity issue. I mean, in every project, in every intervention, you hear capacity, but we tend to use the same capacity in every project, but especially from where I work, it is the same. I mean, capacity development, capacity building. And we need to strategically focus on the broader perspective. Is it from the enabling environment? Are we missing the institutional setup for a country like Somalia? If you look at the country institutional setup, we are missing huge institutions dedicated towards the climate displacement, climate mobility, migration, and the country is also, by the way, receiving a lot of returnees. So in a nutshell, we don't need to focus on the capacity as business as usual. We need to categorize maybe from an organizational perspective, enabling environment, and the individuals who are also running these institutions. And if you allow me, I'll just need to mention the data aspect, data, information, knowledge, and finally, coordination, alignment, and harmonization. These are the two most important aspects, because it's not just Paris Agreement and NDCs and NAPs. We have SDGs, we have the Sendai framework, and these need in a, in coordinated way and integrated way. Thank you for your time, and I beg to stop here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was extreme. If you are looking for a resource person in the Eastern Horn of Africa on the linkages between human mobility and climate change, I think we have someone here. I was also having Mrs. Olive Mafi from Tonga. Are you here? I mean, there must be something very important going on outside. So I would like to give the floor to, I mean, maybe la señora de Ecuador, no? Who wanted to share her experience too, right?
My name is Helen. I am from Ecuador. I am part of youth program delegate about the climate mobility. I want to share with you the experience of Ecuador. In the Ecuadorian context, with its geographical diversity and in some areas vulnerable population, it's essential to recognize and proactively address the migration caused by the impacts of climate change. This phenomenon is also recognized in adaptation national plans, but only recognized, not happening more about that. However, we're facing significant challenge along the way. One is the need for accurate data to support our strategies. The lack of data information on human climate mobility partners in Ecuador can make it difficult to make informed decisions and identify of increased vulnerability to some peoples in Ecuador, specifically the indigenous people. In addition, it's crucial to address the legal and policy frameworks that underpin our actions. The creation of strategies, specifically in climate mobility policies, are essential to provide a solid framework to guide our initiatives and protect the rights of those affected. Young people not only represent the future of the country and in the world, but also are sources of energy and creativity that can contribute to innovative solutions about this topic. While climate mobility is already recognized in our plan, it's crucial to develop specific strategies and empower youth people to lead this process, because the youth people is new ideas, new voices, and new strategies. In doing so, we are building a more sustainability and inclusive, resilient future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been asked to be on stage, so I'm obeying the orders. Who would like to share? Oh, yes, Rose. If you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Rose Kopsing, and an international youth delegates member as part of the UAE youth presidency to COP, and also an IOM and African Union ambassador on migration, environment, and climate change. I was part of the Kampala Declaration on Migration, Environment, and Climate Change. So I don't know if you're aware about that. I can see some notes going on. And I brought in the consultations from the youth constituency, and just wanted to emphasize that we have capacities going on with countries that have already integrated human mobility in the NAPS, and there's so much we can learn from each other and improve. For example, Uganda, I know Bob is not here, but Uganda is in the process of integrating human mobility in the NAPS. Because the Kampala Declaration initially was for Eastern Horn of Africa, the 11 countries, and now it's extending to the continents, and 33 countries have already signed out of 55, and the plan is to take it through the African Union, and I think that will happen starting next year, January. So I wanted to emphasize from Helen's point of young people, I just wanted to emphasize every country that is integrating human mobility in the NAPS is the participation of frontline communities, the IDPs, the people living in disaster hotspot communities, the young people, the women and girls, consultations, but also not just consultations, is finding them where they are is very important, because usually you find these consultations are in the city and these people don't have transport, they may not even have phones. Most of them actually don't have smartphones and emails where such information is shared. So I think it's important to, as we're talking about human mobility, to integrate the most affected people, and of course the migrants and the diaspora, because I saw the presentation bringing in the aspect that it's also part of mobility, migrants and diaspora, not forgetting the refugees. I just wanted to emphasize that, but also knowing that it shouldn't stop just on consultations, but bringing solutions, life-changing solutions, especially green jobs and green skills. Because for frontline communities, it doesn't matter how beautiful your document is, if it doesn't bring jobs, if it doesn't improve livelihoods, then it's useless. So I really hope to see NAPS picking up the aspect of bringing practical solutions and initiatives to the ground, and also importantly continuing to engage people, because sometimes it's so hectic. You engage people in a consultation, you never come back, you never share what the results were, what the solutions were. I just wanted to emphasize that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you very much, Rose, for bringing also the importance of linking it to some frameworks and regional or continental frameworks like the Kampala Declaration, but we also have now other frameworks in other regions of the world. So it's very important also to link it to frameworks so that it can support the synergies on human mobility and adaptation. Any other experience to share or question? Please go ahead. Yeah, I have one here. Ladies, 5 minutes, close to the end. So I have the gentleman and 3 ladies, and maybe after the gentleman over there, if we're not out of time, I'm sorry. So be very straight to the point so that...
Okay. First, I introduce myself. My name is Byron Javier Moreno. Here I am in representation of the Subsecretariat of Climate Change of the Ministry of Environment, Water and Ecological Transition of the Government of Ecuador. Today we address a critical issue: the impact of climate change on human mobility. We thank all of the organizers for opening this space for dialogue and for their efforts in this arena. Our goal is clear: to ensure that the challenges and the opportunities of human mobility in the face of climate change are integrated into international adaptation plans, strategies. Let's turn our attention to Ecuador, a country that exemplifies resilience and proactive response. The adversity brought by climate change manifesting in floods and landslides has compelled many to relocate. Ecuador National Adaptation Plan is a testament to the country's commitment, not only address the challenges, but also prioritize human mobility within this framework. It is imperative for such comprehensive approach to be a part of every nation's adaptation strategy. Ecuador journey offers invaluable insights. Firstly, the significance of holistic approach in adaptation planning is undeniable. Secondly, collaboration across various sectors, governmental, non-governmental, and community level is crucial too. And thirdly, international cooperation is essential to bolster these efforts. Furthermore, educating policy makers and stakeholders about the interplay between climate change and human mobility is critical for devising effective adaptation strategies. As we convene today, we are presenting with a unique opportunity to address a global challenge. The dynamic of human mobility in the context of climate change require collective action and shared solutions. It urges each one of you to leverage the insights we gathered to commit to a collaborative effort towards a sustainable and resilient future for those impacted by climate-induced mobility. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May we have a round of applause? Okay, so I would like to be sure that we will finish on time. So I will ask, I'm sorry, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Introducing yourself quickly, and yeah, it's okay.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Ilka Vega. I come from the US-Mexico border. I'm part here with civil society representing United Women in Faith and Texas Impact Communities of Faith, working in the front lines, receiving a lot of the asylum seekers from Latin America and all over the world, frankly, that come to the US-Mexico border to seek asylum. I appreciate the efforts of the national adaptation plans to include mobility. As we know, most of the people are internally displaced, those that are displaced by climate. However, the need is increasing for protections of those that cross borders. Also noting that some of the cities where people are internally displaced are also climate stress environments. Under the international law, unfortunately, we lack legal protections. The US used to have under its policies protections for climate disasters and people that are displaced, but we got rid of that legislation in the 70s. Since then, we haven't had a good process to receive people that have been displaced because of natural disasters and climate displacement. So what I'm asking us is to think not only of the national adaptation plans that we have to create for our own persons that are internally displaced within the countries, but also thinking those that are crossing boundaries, but not leave it just to the national adaptation plans, but really think about the legal international protections that we have to put forward to ensure that countries are whole accountable to also create good implementation plans and not just leave it up to them on how they're going to deal with the situation, but have some accountability at the international level and increase the protections for refugees and migrants. So just having that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I have a dilemma here. We have 10 minutes left. So please go ahead. Is it possible to have 1 minute? Just to let you know also that the Slido will remain open until tomorrow. Why has it disappeared? Oh, be careful. So we have one intervention here, one here, and then please go ahead.
Hello, I'm Dania Chatti from Pakistan, and I'm here as a yoga representative, but I'm affiliated with IOM in Pakistan, working with the IOM. I will make a short intervention regarding human mobility aspects in National Adaptation Plan. First of all, I would like that the inclusion of youth engagement, both in the formulation and implementation of National Adaptation Plan, is very crucial, as we are the torchbearer of future. So our perspective must be included in the National Adaptation Plan development, turning into the integration of human mobility considerations into the NAPs. I would suggest 3 paramount needs for capacity building. That is, there is a comprehensive need for training programs that deepen our understanding of the intricate intersections between human mobility and the impacts of climate change. Secondly, the establishment of collaborative platforms and knowledge exchange mechanisms to ensure that the voices of youth and youth are not only acknowledged but actively incorporated into the processes of NAP development. Lastly, I would like to ask to provide access to tailored resources and tools that are crucial to empower the youth to actively contribute to the formulation and implementation of NAPs, particularly in the dynamic realm of human mobility. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Aya Kasasa. I'm here in my capacity of representative of the head of the co-secretariat on the ACP-EU Dialogue on Migration. The ACP is the African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, Organization of Pacific States. We represent 79 member states across those 3 continents, and we have this specific partnership with the European Union. I think it's important to link all these ideas coming from the grassroots, but also to continue the dialogue through the interstate consultation mechanisms on migration that are coordinated by IOM. This is very important to the ACP because this is where we can actually come back with all the information we get from concrete action we are leading. And we are leading them through specific programs. We have CLIMSA, Climate Services, that we support policy making in our countries. We have a research and innovation program which offers a policy support facility, a participatory slum upgrading program, because it was said before, climate-related displacement into cities concerns basically mostly affect vulnerable people, those who are in informal settlements or in slums. And then maybe a question is how to see how culture and narratives and socio-cultural involvement can help into this exercise of including human mobility in NAPs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I cannot take any more questions because there is another event after, but we can keep on discussing after that. And please use the Slido questions so that we can, okay. Your Excellency, I mean, if anyone can give the microphone to His Excellency, please.
Thank you very much. I was waiting for invitation to speak, but I really don't know whether I need to say it or not. But I am Adam Suarez Barbosa. I'm Vice Chair of the Least Developed Countries Expert Group. So can I? Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much, Excellencies, colleagues and friends. The LEC has been mandated by the Conference of Parties to develop national adaptation plans and also providing guidance for the LDCs to implement their respective adaptation priorities under the National Adaptation Plan. So, in fact, if we link these human mobility issues into the NAPS, I think it is very important. And then in terms of how to integrate this human mobility into the NAPS is a pretty empty adaptation, and those through loss and damage related response issues. So human mobility due to climate change can be driven by pre-empty adaptation for long-term risk from the impact of climate change in terms of slow onset event issues through contingency measures in case of rapid event issues. So in terms of LEC is finalizing guidelines for the implementation of the national adaptation plans that will be including detailed approaches to developing implementation plans as well as how to effectively access funding for the implementation of adaptation priorities. The process of formulation and implementation of NAP is also mainly a delivery mechanism for adaptation planning and also implementation issues under the UNFCCC. And by having this, we could enhance the global goal of adaptation or global goal to adaptation under the Paris Agreement and also adaptation priorities under the Convention. So NAPS are mainly a vehicle for developing countries to identify their adaptation priority needs and to design and also implement projects and programs to address those needs. The climate risk management continuum contains three phases: preemptive actions, contingency measures, and losses. The first generation of the NAPS are largely based on the available information and also risk assessment, and thereby differing level of depth and also detail depending on the country level of the circumstances, and acknowledge at country level issues. More deep and also comprehensive risk-based analysis can be expected with the substantive generation of the NAPS itself, and we also do inform you that the NAPS guidelines have been prepared by different agencies. So, for example, the existing NAPS, especially from the LDCs and also developing countries, Benin, for example, they have also include their migration issues into the NAPS, and also other countries like Central African Republic and others, they've already included the migration and displacement issues into their respective national adaptation plans. So this is something that we could consider, that there is a linkage between adaptation priorities that is also capturing issue of migration. So without delay some of the time, I think I need to conclude here because time is not from our side. But once again, thank you very much.
We are extremely grateful, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. Thank you. So now I'm calling for the concluding remarks. The second one, Mrs. Rosibel Arriaga Martinez, the co-chair of the Paris Committee on Capacity Building.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants and distinguished guests, as we draw the curtains on this session, I stand before you with a profound sense of gratitude and admiration. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the IOM and the government of Moldova and Tajikistan, the UN Office of the High Representative for the Least Developed Countries, landlocked development countries and small island development states, and the University of Vienna for organizing this remarkable event. Your dedication to fostering dialogue and collaboration on the critical topic of mainstreaming human mobility in NAPS is truly commendable. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to the IOM for extending the invitation to the Paris Committee on Capacity Building. Just 2 months ago, in Istanbul, we shared an experience at the Global Workshop on Mainstreaming Human Mobility into NAPS. It has been an honor to contribute our dialogue and extend our collaboration to the Capacity Building Hub here in Dubai. I am convinced that the insights we gained today will lay a solid foundation for more fruitful discussions in the future. In reflecting on our last hour, let me recap the enriched journey we embarked upon together. Following the insightful video message from Ms. Rabab Fatima and the opening remarks from Mr. Jerome Ilham, we received a comprehensive overview of the supplement of human mobility from the UNFCCC Technical Guidance for National Adaptation Plan process by Mr. Harald Sterling. This set the stage for a highly informative and fruitful sharing of experiences during our roundtable discussion. It was truly inspiring to hear all of you and to witness the diverse perspective of stakeholders, each bringing a unique lens to the roundtable. The outcomes of our collective efforts over the course of these sessions are both tangible and promising. We have engaged in peer learning, gaining valuable insights into good practices, challenges, and existing gaps related to mainstreaming human mobility into NAPS. Our discussions have fostered a deeper understanding of priority needs among stakeholders in this area. Moreover, we have made progress in improving coherence in the narrative surrounding human mobility with the context of NAP formulation and implementation. The PCCB stands ready to continue supporting the efforts led by the IOM and in partners with the realm of human mobility. Throughout 2023, our committee has focused on capacity building support for adaptation with a particular emphasis on addressing gaps and needs in formulating and implementing NAPS. Looking ahead on the upcoming year, we remain committed to a similar focus area with a specific lens on financing for NAPS. In closing, let me express our eagerness to continue this fruitful engagement with IOM and other relevant stakeholders in 2024. Together, we can build on the momentum generated during this session, turning ideas into action and forging a path toward a more resilient and inclusive future. Thank you all for your dedication, your insights, and your commitment to making a difference. Let us carry the spirit of collaboration forward as we continue our journey. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, dear assistants, we do have a special guest today to give the final closing remarks. I call His Excellency Mr. Marco Beniciocho, Vice Minister of Environment and Natural Resources of Guatemala. Please, a big round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. I would like to introduce myself first of all. Well, you already did, but my name is Marco Ochoa. It's the easiest way to say it. Marco Ochoa, that's it. Well, first of all, I would like to put you in context about my country, but especially about Central America. The Central America region is one of the most vulnerable territories to be affected by climate change worldwide. In addition, the socioeconomic conditions of most of its population increase its vulnerability and expose it to a framework of loss and damage caused by the occurrence of extreme weather events. That's the context of our countries. Climate security seeks to serve the people and communities most vulnerable to the risk inherent in the adverse effect of climate change. Guatemala has the legal, institutional, political, and organizational base for the implementation of adaptation actions and to reduce the negative impacts of climate change. At the regional level, around migration and climate change, the country participated through SICA. SICA means Central America Integration System, in the upgrading of the regional climate change strategy and its national instruments such as the National Migration Policy and the National Action Plan on Climate Change. The migration approach is included as a national priority towards adaptation to climate change. Currently, the process of updating these instruments is underway to reinforce actions and achieve the goals set out in the country's NDCs. In Guatemala, national forums have been held within the framework of the governance of the Human Mobility and Climate Change Roundtable between the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala and other governmental actors and international organizations, among others. In addition, work has been carried out in coordination with IOM on the project action and support to avoid, minimizing, and address displacement related to climate change in Guatemala, which will contribute to mitigating the impact caused by climate change on the most vulnerable people and communities. Despite national efforts, it is necessary to strengthen the most relative actions to address this phenomenon, and it is essential to have sufficient technical and financial support to improve the actions listed below. Improve the ability of data and knowledge on loss, damage, and displacement in Guatemala. Integrate the issue of displacement of people into Guatemala's relevant policies and plans with a focus on climate change. And lastly, capacity building in Guatemala to access climate finance funds. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We came to the end of this panel, this event. Thank you so much for all being here, and we'll meet in next COP, and I hope at COP29 and with more NAPs with including human mobility.